A study published in the Journal of Veterinary Internal Medicine found that nearly 1 in 4 dachshunds will experience some form of spinal disc disease in their lifetime. 1 in 4. That's not a fluke statistic or a worst-case scenario. That's a breed-wide vulnerability that most owners don't find out about until their dog is already in pain. And here's the part that stings. A significant portion of those cases are made worse, sometimes triggered, by chronic inflammation, poor gut health, and nutritional gaps that nobody told you to watch for. The vet didn't mention it. The kibble bag didn't mention it. But the science has been pointing at it for years. What's wild is that some of the most effective tools for managing those exact vulnerabilities aren't in any pet store. They're in your kitchen. Specific human foods have measurable effects on the exact things that make dachshunds suffer most: inflammation, disc degeneration, weight gain, muscle loss, skin breakdown, gut instability. And today, you're going to learn exactly which 14 foods those are, and why they work specifically for this breed. By the time this video ends, you'll know what to add to your dog's bowl, why it matters for his specific body, and how to do it without causing new problems in the process. Let's get into it. One quick thing before we get started. This video is informational. It's built on widely accepted nutritional research. But your dog is an individual. If he has an existing condition, kidney disease, pancreatitis, a history of disc problems, or anything else your vet has flagged, please run any dietary changes by your vet first. Now, let's get into it. Number 1, eggs. Dachshunds carry their entire body weight on a spine that was never designed for the length it has. That's not an exaggeration. The selective breeding that gave them their iconic silhouette also gave them disproportionately long, vertebral columns supported by relatively short, compact muscles. When those muscles weaken, the discs compress faster. Eggs are one of the most bioavailable protein sources you can give a dog, meaning the body actually absorbs and uses the amino acids, rather than passing most of them through. Feeding your dachshund 2 to 3 scrambled or hard-boiled eggs per week gives those back muscles what they need to stay strong. The yolk also contains fatty acids that visibly improve coat quality within a few weeks. Always cook them. Raw egg whites block a critical B vitamin over time. Number 2, sardines. Canned sardines in water are one of the most underused tools in a dachshund owner's arsenal. They're loaded with the omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, which are the body's most potent natural anti-inflammatories. For a breed where inflammation in the spine, joints, and skin is practically a factory setting, that matters enormously. One small sardine, mashed into your dog's regular food once or twice a week, works quietly in the background, reducing the kind of low-grade systemic inflammation that leads to bigger problems down the road. Just make sure it's packed in water with no added salt. Number 3, plain pumpkin. If there is one food on this entire list, you should keep stocked at all times. It's canned plain pumpkin. And dachshunds are digestively dramatic. Loose stools, bloating, constipation, gas. And pumpkin handles all of it because of its unusually high soluble fiber content. That fiber works in both directions. It firms up loose stools and loosens hard ones. It also feeds the beneficial bacteria living in your dog's gut, which supports immunity and even mood regulation. And because dachshunds gain weight faster than almost any other small breed, pumpkin adds bulk and fullness to meals without meaningful calories. 2 tablespoons in their food does more than most probiotic supplements. Just make absolutely sure you're buying 100% plain pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, which has sugar and spices that will make everything worse. Number 4, blueberries. Blueberries are small, low-calorie, and quietly one of the most powerful things you can give an aging dachshund. They're dense with antioxidants called anthocyanins, which fight oxidative stress, the cellular damage process that contributes to disc degeneration, cognitive decline, and certain cancers. Research suggests that oxidative damage to intervertebral disc tissue accelerates the breakdown that leads to IVD. And antioxidant-rich foods, like blueberries, are one of the few dietary interventions that can slow that process. 3 to 5 berries a few times a week, fresh or frozen, is all it takes. Number 5, carrots. Most people think of carrots as just a crunchy snack, but for Dachshunds, they serve a genuinely functional purpose. This breed tends to develop significant tartar buildup because of how their teeth are crowded into a relatively small jaw. Raw carrots act as a mechanical cleaning tool. The texture and firmness physically scrapes plaque from the teeth as your dog chews. Beyond dental health, carrots deliver beta-carotene, which converts to vitamin A in the body and supports eye health, immune response, and skin integrity. They're also filling enough that a raw carrot will stop your Dachshund from acting like he hasn't eaten in 3 days, which, if you own one, you know is a daily performance. Number 6, plain boiled chicken. This is the one every Dachshund owner should have in their back pocket for the rough days. When your dog has an upset stomach, vomiting, loose stools, low energy after eating, plain boiled chicken breast is the digestive reset button. It's bland enough to let an inflamed gut rest while still providing clean protein to support recovery. It's also useful on a longer-term basis for Dachshunds who are on restricted diets that are quietly stripping their muscle mass. Adding shredded boiled chicken to their food a few times a week keeps those spinal support muscles intact without adding excess fat or processed fillers. Boneless, skinless, no seasoning, no garlic. Always. And never feed cooked chicken bones. They splinter in ways that can cause serious internal damage. Number 7, broccoli. Broccoli is one of those foods that works beautifully in small amounts and causes problems in large ones, so it's worth understanding before you start using it. The florets contain a compound called sulforaphane, which has well-documented anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties. For a breed that develops certain cancers at higher rates as they age, that's worth paying attention to. The catch is that broccoli also contains compounds in the stems that irritate the stomach lining if fed in excess. Keep it under roughly 10% of your dog's daily food intake, a few small steamed florets 2 or 3 times a week, and you get all the benefit with none of the digestive backlash. Number 8, sweet potato. Sweet potato is a smarter carbohydrate than most people give it credit for, especially for a breed that's constantly fighting weight gain. It has a lower glycemic index than regular potato, which means it provides steady, sustained energy instead of a blood sugar spike, followed by a crash and a hunger surge. It's also rich in vitamin B6, vitamin C, and manganese, nutrients that directly support nerve function. That matters for Dachshunds because IVDD isn't purely a structural problem. It's a neurological one too. Anything that keeps the nervous system functioning well is quietly working in your dog's favor. A tablespoon or 2 of plain cooked sweet potato in their food a few times a week is plenty. Number 9, plain Greek yogurt. After antibiotics, after a stressful period, after weeks of inconsistent digestion, your Dachshund's gut microbiome can take a real hit, and it doesn't always bounce back on its own. Plain, full-fat Greek yogurt contains live probiotic cultures that help restore the balance of beneficial bacteria in the gut. It's also high in protein and calcium, both of which support muscle maintenance and bone density. 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon mixed into their food is enough to make a difference. The only rules? It has to be plain and unsweetened. And you need to check for xylitol in the ingredients. That artificial sweetener is toxic to dogs and shows up in more healthy yogurt products than you'd expect. Number 10, natural peanut butter. You've almost certainly already given your Dachshund peanut butter at some point, which means the most important thing you can take from this entry is the warning, not the recommendation. Natural peanut butter, made with nothing but peanuts, is genuinely useful as a high-value training reward, a way to administer medication, or a puzzle toy filler. It provides healthy fats, niacin, vitamin E, and a hit of protein. But a large and growing number of commercial peanut butter brands now contain xylitol, and even a small amount of xylitol can cause liver failure in dogs. Check the label every single time you buy a new jar. If you see xylitol on sugar alcohols or anything listed as a natural sweetener, put it down and walk away. Number 11, spinach. Spinach delivers iron, vitamin K, vitamin A, and vitamin C in a combination that supports blood health, immune function, and bone density. For older dachshunds showing early signs of spinal wear, the vitamin K content is particularly relevant. It plays a direct role in vertebral bone strength. That said, spinach is also high in oxalates, compounds that can contribute to kidney stone formation if consumed too regularly. It belongs in the rotation, not in the daily bowl. A few steamed and chopped leaves once a week is where the benefit lives. Dogs with existing kidney issues should skip it entirely. Number 12, plain cooked salmon. Salmon is the premium version of the omega-3 argument made by sardines. And it earns its place on this list separately because the concentration of EPA and DHA is even higher, and the effects on joint and spinal inflammation in dogs have been well documented. For dachshunds showing visible stiffness, reluctance to use stairs, or a history of disc episodes, consistent salmon feeding over 6 to 8 weeks has been shown to produce measurable improvements in mobility. A small portion of plain baked or steamed salmon once a week is enough. Never smoked. The salt content is dangerously high. Never raw Pacific salmon. It can carry a parasite that is fatal to dogs without exception. Number 13, banana. If your dachshund ever trembles after a walk, struggles with muscle cramps, or shows progressive weakness in his hind legs, potassium deficiency is worth considering. Bananas are one of the best natural sources of potassium you can offer a dog, and potassium governs muscle contractions and nerve signal transmission. Two things that matter enormously for a breed where hind leg weakness is often the earliest visible sign of spinal compromise. Bananas also contain vitamin B6 and magnesium, both of which support the nervous system directly. 2 or 3 small slices a few times a week is the right amount. More than that tips into excess sugar, which works against the weight management this breed constantly needs. Number 14, coconut oil. Coconut oil tends to split people. Some swear by it, others dismiss it entirely. But the case for it with dachshunds is more specific than most people realize. It contains medium-chain triglycerides, a type of fat that gets metabolized directly into energy rather than being stored. For dogs on calorie-restricted diets, that means they can have energy and satiety without the weight gain associated with regular dietary fat. MCTs are also being actively researched for their role in supporting cognitive function in aging dogs, and the early results are promising enough to pay attention to. Start with a 1/4 teaspoon mixed into food and go from there. Too much at once will cause loose stools, and that's a lesson you really only want to learn once. Here's the honest truth about everything you just heard. None of it is complicated, and none of it is expensive. The foods that do the most for your dachshund's spine, his gut, his weight, and his longevity are the same ones already sitting in your kitchen or available at any grocery store for a few dollars. The gap isn't access, it's awareness. And now you have it. Don't try to add all 14 at once. Your dog's digestive system needs time to adjust to anything new. Pick 2 or 3 that match what your dachshund is dealing with right now. Add them slowly over a couple of weeks, and watch how he responds. The changes, better coat, calmer gut, more ease of movement, tend to show up faster than most people expect. If this video gave you something useful, save it. You're going to want to come back to it. And if you know another dachshund owner who's been spending money on supplements without really understanding what their dog actually needs, send it to them. It might be the most useful thing they watch this year. Subscribe if you want more content like this. We cover one breed at a time, one real health issue at a time. No filler, no fluff, just the stuff that actually matters for your specific dog.